Hello, people. I'm in a talkative mode these days. Ever since I went to that protest on Saturday. Anyway, given the whole right-wing optics focused and tokenistic DEI theater has been spreading across the world, and trying to make it a weird right wing left wing thing instead of focusing on the basic principles. Story versus data. You want a good story, but you don't care about data. Just what is happening. And yeah, I am a data scientist and a transformer. I haven't had a full time job since October 23. Some of you will call it by choice, some of you will call it discrimination. At this point, I really don't care because I haven't bothered to even find the data. I can think of some ways to collect data, create two profiles, try to apply and try to see and stuff, but it doesn't feel worth the effort, frankly. But yeah, let's keep that as a separate thing. I want to talk about one thing particularly, which is basically corporates do inclusion, do DEI, do so many things, but they also do it in a very, very way that feels so fake. And the Indian government is now calling us fake trends. I'll just talk to you about the last company I was working for. That was the first company I also was completely out as a trans woman. The conversation, the interview and hiring conversation happened sometime around September, October 2022. I will not get too much into details. The interview was pretty, and I felt like I just very easily cleared it. It's what I felt. In fact, I was a little surprised. But going to the deeper details, I feel like one of the things about the interview about the HR discussion that happened was they talked about my previous CTC, which again is a very weird habit. If you done any negotiation by default and you're talking about jobs and previous jobs, you realize that the lowballing is a common pattern that people use, which means it's best if you don't disclose the previous price. And even for people who have never worked in full-time job or job searched, they should understand this much, I think, because we all negotiate at the ends. Anyway, so when a company asks you what is your previous CTC or current CTC, that itself is a red flag for me at this point, which is very generic, not generic. Coming to the point, they asked me if I told them I have been a manager first, led a team of 5 people max, and that was my last CTC and stuff. But with this new role, I am not sure I want to lead it right now or yet. And they said, okay, fine, if you want only individual roles, this is a maximum CTC I offered, much like she was basically 60% lower than my last CTC. I thought about it and said, okay, fine, because I don't know, I didn't even do a proper glass checks, which probably I should have. I've been too distracted and very, very, very too much cognitively overloaded because of so many things happening, both in personal life and the whole personal is political separation doesn't really work. Personal versus professional versus political doesn't work for queer people. Maybe it works for some very, very super privileged queer people, I guess. Not super queer, super privileged queer people, I guess. But I don't know. I really don't know, frankly. I'm not privileged enough to find out if it's a true experiment, if that's true as a scientific experiment or not. Moving on. The key issue is that for me, I don't even have an issue with the CTC because it's like, fine, at this point I was not thinking much. It's like, fine, this is another story point at best. And moved on. But they asked me to join on December instead of September, was the hiring date, which I felt was very weird because I had already left my previous job and I was not having any notice period. The way the interviews happened, starting from the initial HR round to the uh, technical round or whatever to the finalizing round, was very fast as if they are in a hurry. I felt like okay, maybe they would hire immediately. For me, this felt weird, so I didn't say anything. But when that actually join date came, I went in, and that's when they realized this company was hiring their 2000 employee also that day, and they wanted to do a big PR video, cake, blah 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 blah, lunch with the CEO, CTO, whatever. All those things they were doing that day. 2000. I was not a 2000 employee, at least. I guess feel thankful for it. But I am pretty sure my joining date was pushed to that date for a particular reason, which is basically for the PR. And I remember very clearly, I am not comfortable with it, and I literally went and hid behind the banner. This is what I actually did. I mean, if they ever look at their videos and review it, they will find in some corner, unless they probably have done some proper editing on it. But if they found unedited raw video, they'll find it behind the banner. There's this one person who is hiding, which would be me. But yeah, okay, let's ignore it because again, it's just another flag. What flag it is, I don't know. You decide. Orange flag. Okay. Moving on. I worked there for almost 8 months. For the first month or so, after the initial orientation, whatever they did for 1 week, it was, I don't know. I don't know why it needed in person one week of walking us through the policies, portals, and stuff. But apparently it needed. I don't know. But yeah, I sat through it, finished it, whatever. After a while, I started raising issues about not being in a project. I think after 2 or 3 weeks, and people started. I started talking to a person, and then I asked a big question. One of the questions, my big question is, I haven't used Windows for fucking 10 years. Okay, can I get a Linux system? Whatever basis whichever program because I would prefer it. I know how to customize it perfectly for my use case. I have never been able to replicate that in any other OS else yet so far. I mean, I've mostly had chance only try Windows, not Mac OS, but yeah. They were like, yeah, I mean, one of them said yes, one of them said no. And then they eventually pushed me on project to ask me to use Windows and some weird GUI, which was very inefficient, distracting, not a I again asked after a while. I keep raising requests to actually give me a bare metal Linux system. I never got it. Throughout the 8 months, I raised the ticket at least 5-6 times. The outright rule is that we don't support it. I'm like, you don't have to support it. Just give me Linux, or just let me format it. That's it. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Eventually, I left the company. I spent 8 months there, worked on like 2 or 3 different projects, did some work. I felt pretty much completely underutilized. I'm gonna complete this this way. I'm gonna put it this way, okay? Usually I complain about companies being too extractive. I think I'm being under extracted in some sense because these companies have no idea. I'm like, what is this nonsense? But yeah, at the end of the day, the reason I changed projects so frequently was for a reason, which is basically that, dude, I didn't want to do this for the first project. And when we did the second project, they wanted me to build a dashboard which we are building with their tool, with their no low code or no code tool. I tried, I did made some progress, and I realized it's just being the code tool is being too slow, too starting too nonsensical for my needs. I realized I could have done whatever I was doing in 10 days in 2 days on OLN system. I took a weekend, finished it, did that dashboard, showed them on Monday. They were like, yeah, this is exactly what we want, but we want it in our tool. Why? Because Windows, because they have certifications, whatever. I don't know. I still don't understand why they wanted it on their tool. Eventually moved on from that also. I tried another project which also had a similar same issue, and I realized, okay, they're just gonna please keep in mind I have 15 years of experience. I have built software from the ground up. I built architectures. I am I wouldn't call myself the best 10x developer in any sense or 10x anything. Primarily, I have not been. I have been distracted by a lot more product work also and product opinions also, frankly. But I have worked in so many startups, helped startups scale. I've done so much work that I should be able to do all these decisions. I am able to do all these decisions. And if a company's name of individual contributor role is not giving that, I don't know. And even more interestingly, if they cannot include all the mainstream voice for their employees, I don't know how inclusive they are actually. They're not even technically inclusive. So, yeah, I rest my case. Thank you, companies, for coming to our aid and saving us from the bad world.